When people hear the name JonBenét Ramsey, they usually picture an image first. The hair, the costumes, the smile, the pageant clips, the photographs that have been replayed so many times that they became bigger than the little girl in them. But an image is not a whole person. Today, I want to look at JonBenét through an Enneagram lens. My strongest read is a possible Type 3 Wing 2, a bright, responsive child whose public-facing world rewarded charm, presentation, talent, and the ability to make people feel delighted. And before we go deeper, let's make the Enneagram simple. It is not just a personality quiz, it is the inner rule people start living by. A Type 3 often carries the rule, I matter when I shine, I am safe when I do well, I am lovable when people are proud of me. A Type 2 adds, I am safe when I am wanted, I am loved when I make people feel good. And Type 7 style energy says, keep life bright, fun, colorful, and full of possibility. Put those together and you can get a child who looks joyful, polished, expressive, and easy to celebrate, while quietly learning that being seen may depend on continuing to be those things. That is the story I want to explore, the bright child behind the image, and the emotional pressure that can come with being seen as special. A Type 3 child is not necessarily vain. That is one of the biggest misunderstandings about this type. At its healthiest, Type 3 energy is adaptable, energetic, responsive, and confident. It notices what people respond to and learns how to rise to the moment. A child with this energy can be magnetic because she can meet the room. She can make adults smile. She can sense when people are watching and naturally lean into the performance. The public image surrounding JonBenét is full of performance. Costumes, stage-ready expression, posing, smiling, practice presentation, and visual confidence that reads as much older than 6. That does not tell us everything about her, but it makes a Type 3 lens meaningful. The core desire of a 3 is to feel valuable. The core fear is being seen as worthless, unimpressive, or invisible. The survival rule is, do not fail, do not disappear. Give people something they can admire. Now imagine what that can look like in a child's world. A child is complimented because she looks pretty. She is celebrated because she performs well. She receives attention when she is dressed up, prepared, camera-ready, and confident. Praise itself is not harmful. Pageants alone do not explain a child, but a child can start connecting love and presentation. She may wonder, do I get the most warmth when I am dazzling? Do people light up when I am cheerful? Is the polished version of me the version everyone wants most? A Type 3 child can become very skilled at becoming what the moment wants. That is the gift. But the shadow is a quieter question. Would you still love me if I were tired? If I were messy? If I were not performing? If I did not make you proud today? The wing matters because a 3 with 2 does not just want success. A 3 with 2 often wants success that creates warmth and closeness. The Type 2 influence is relational. It can make a child affectionate, charming, eager to please, emotionally responsive, and sensitive to adult approval. So the 3 with 2 pattern is not simply, look at me. It can be, love me because I make you happy. On the outside, that can look confident, outgoing, and natural in front of people. But underneath, the fear may not be attention itself. The fear may be losing the connection that attention creates. That is why people can misread bright children. A smile can look like total comfort. A performance can look like the whole personality. But a child can be talented at performing and still be too young to understand all the expectations around it. A child can enjoy a costume and still need rest. A child can like applause and still need to feel loved when there is no applause. A child can be charming and still deserve a private self that does not have to charm anyone. That is the shadow side of the three with two story. Being admired can become so central that people stop asking what the person actually feels. The next layer I see is Type 7 style energy. Type 7 is playful, expressive, curious, bright, energetic, and drawn to what feels alive. In children, it can show up as imagination, silliness, love of dress-up, novelty, movement, and wanting the day to feel exciting. That is part of why JonBenét's public image feels so visually loud. There is sparkle, color, character, performance, and theatrical joy. But Type 7 energy also has a shadow. The shadow is learning to move away from discomfort too quickly. A child can learn, be bright, be happy, keep the mood up. Do not sit in what is sad, awkward, scary, or disappointing. So, the possible 3W2/7 style pattern can sound like this. I will be delightful. I will make people smile. I will be easy to celebrate. I will give people a reason to love me. That is not bad. It is a very human adaptation. It becomes heavy only when a child feels she has to stay in that role to keep receiving warmth. The Enneagram is never just about the person. It is also about the ecosystem. Family, school, culture, praise, expectations, routines, adults, cameras. The roles people assign you before you are old enough to decide who you want to be. JonBenét's public-facing ecosystem included pageants, costumes, photographs, and recognition for being expressive, polished, beautiful, and memorable. Then, after her death, the public turned that image into a symbol. She became the pageant girl, but that phrase is much smaller than a human life. A 6-year-old can enjoy performing and still be a child. A 6-year-old can like dressing up and still need to be ordinary, tired, private, silly, cranky, and unobserved. A 6-year-old can be loved for her gifts and still need to know she does not have to earn love through those gifts. This is where image psychology gets darker. Not because there was something dark inside the child, but because adults, audiences, and media can project so much meaning onto a child's image that the child becomes a mirror for everyone else's fear, judgment, fantasy, or suspicion. The girl becomes the image becomes the story, and the actual child becomes harder to see. Outwardly, a possible 3W2/7 style child can look radiant. She smiles, she performs, she adapts, she brings life into a room, she knows how to meet an audience, she is memorable. But the shadow can be, what happens when I am not the bright one? What happens when I cannot make people proud? What happens when I just need to be a child? The world sees confidence. The person may be working very hard to keep the love attached to that confidence. The world sees glamour. The person may need permission to be ordinary. The world sees a role. The person may be asking, can you still see me outside of the role? This shows up in real life everywhere. It is the child praised for being perfect, the student who feels valuable only when they get the highest grade, the athlete who cannot relax because being exceptional became their identity, the adult who is always on because they no longer know how to receive love while resting. That is why this archetype connects. It is not really about pageants. It is about conditional worth. JonBenét began as a little girl with a family, activities, photographs, ordinary childhood moments, and a public-facing pageant identity. After her death, the country met her mostly through selected images. The pageant footage became a symbol. The photographs became a symbol. The image became a symbol. And for decades, people have argued over the meaning of an image when the person herself cannot speak. The Enneagram lesson is not to trap her in a box. It is to recognize the box that the public built around her. Beautiful child, pageant child, mystery, symbol. Any time a person becomes a symbol, we risk losing the person. So here is the question I want to leave you with. Do you identify with the bright child archetype? Were you praised for being pretty, talented, funny, smart, mature, helpful, successful, or easy to love? Did you learn to read the room and become what people wanted before you learned to ask what you wanted? Do you sometimes feel like people only know the version of you that performs well? That is the growth work of a possible 3W2 pattern. You are valuable when you are not winning. You are lovable when you are not charming anyone. You are allowed to rest without becoming invisible. And the people who truly love you should be able to recognize you without the costume, the achievement, the smile, or the role. Tell me in the comments, do you relate more to the type 3 need to shine, the type 2 need to be loved, or the type 7 need to keep life bright and moving?